Hello, everybody, and welcome to more Sports and Les Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. I hope your Friday and your weekend is off to a very good start. I'm Dave Bacon. We have some Indians to talk. We have some Browns to talk. We'll hit some action. We'll go out to the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama as well. But we're going to start with the Baseball Hall of Fame voting. For the first time ever, there was a unanimous choice to the Hall of Fame. Mariano Rivera, a reliever, headlines a four-person class from the voting of the pro baseball writers. And you see the percentage. You need 75% of the vote to get in. We're going to talk a little bit about the class that's in, those top four guys, Mussina, Martinez, Halladay, and Rivera, who got all the votes, the unanimous vote getter. We're also going to talk about Omar Vizquel, down to 42.8%. That's up from what he was last year, his first year on the ballot. Let's bring in Doug Lesmerises, the columnist from cleveland.com. Doug, appreciate the time. Just a reaction to this year's class in the Hall of Fame.
I'm sort of the idea that I liked that unanimous was a thing that was basically impossible to achieve. So I get it. You know, Mariano Rivera is really good. I almost would have respected if somebody out there would have been like, you know what, I'm just not going to vote for him because he's not the guy to be the unanimous guy. So I get it, though. Edgar Martinez is interesting to me. Again, a lot of these arguments you make, you can sound like an old guy that, like, the DH. I mean, the DH has been around forever now. So if we're in the world of complaining about DHs, that's like an argument from the 70s. But I question that a little bit. But, you know, I mean, it's a good class, but I think when you talk about a guy like Edgar Martinez, every guy who gets in, like Edgar Martinez, who's like over 80%, every guy like that who gets in, it's not a no-brainer, helps a guy like Omar Vizquel. Because every time there's like, that opens the door for everybody else who's not a sure thing.
Without question. And Edgar Martinez has fewer career hits than Omar Vizquel. Now, I know Martinez had all the doubles and he's a .312 hitter, but career hits, Omar Vizquel has more than Edgar Martinez. And it's kind of interesting. You look at the lineup Martinez hit in. He went in as a DH, but Griffey, Buhner, Alex Rodriguez for part of his career. I'm going to pitch to Edgar Martinez if it's between A-Rod and Griffey. I mean, those things have to go in to putting a guy that's a DH in the Hall of Fame, I think.
There's a lot of things that go into this, right? So when we talk about the number of hits, for instance, I think compiling that I know the number of hits is part of Omar's case, for instance, and he has more than Edgar. But compiling doesn't necessarily impress me. If you hung around at the end for 4 or 5 extra years compared to another guy, so you compiled another 700 hits that really weren't you being great, it was just more numbers, that doesn't matter as much to me as greatness in the moment. How great were you at your greatest? And I do think there's a lot to the argument that you mentioned, which is, you know, if you're like the 4th best guy on your team, do you have to be in the Hall of Fame? But again, you're talking about, well, you'd rather pitch to Edgar Martinez than Griffey or A-Rod, right? Well, Omar's on a team. He's a great individual player. He's on a team with other great players. So, again, I just think Edgar, as different as he is from Omar, is a touch point for Omar in that he was surrounded by other great players that were more dangerous than him. He was a specialist in a way, right, that he's only the bat. Omar is not only the glove, but he's certainly glove first. And if there's a case for Edgar, boy, there's got to be a case for Omar because there's a lot of similarities in how you would look at them overall. But the compiling, like when we're talking about a comparison like that, I don't know that, you know, if Omar would have gotten to 3,000, that's great, but that's not what he's about. That's not what he's about. It's about the greatness and the 10-year stretch in the moment, and that's why you make a case for Omar Vizquel, for instance.
Well, let's compare him to Ozzie Smith, guy that's in the Hall of Fame, recognized as the elite of the elite as far as shortstops go defensively. Omar checks every box ahead of Ozzie Smith, with the exceptions of Gold Glove, where he's down 2, and All-Star appearances. Now, the point I'm going to make about the All-Star appearances, Doug, is Omar Vizquel's career spanned Ripken, Jeter, and A-Rod, Those are 3 of the top 20 all-time in the history of baseball as far as all-star appearances. So it was a little tougher for Omar to make an all-star team than it was Ozzie Smith.
No, I think that's a very valid point, and you need to have context in all these guys. You're in the context of your era for good and for bad. I do like to think of it like this. I think that the Hall of Fame, when you have a plaque in the Hall of Fame, your plaque there should help tell the story of baseball. And numbers matter, of course. But if you walk up to a guy's plaque, say you're there with your kids someday, and you walk up to a guy's plaque and your kid says, "Hey, what was this guy like as a player?" And if you're like, he was the 5th best guy, and if you can't tell a story in 10 seconds of that guy's greatness, I'm not sure he should be there, no matter what his numbers say. So, for instance, Ozzie Smith. I grew up, I'm an old man, watching the baseball bunch on the weekend. Ozzie Smith was on the baseball bunch doing backflips. He was certainly part of the fabric of baseball in that era. Ozzie Smith should absolutely be in. Omar Vizquel, Cleveland fans can certainly tell those stories about Omar. But I do think a baseball fan of that era, if you said, "Tell me about Omar Vizquel," when you got to his plaque, somebody would say, "Man, that guy played shortstop like nobody I ever saw." Right? That you can tell a story about Omar Vizquel's greatness in the moment, that he helped tell the story of baseball for that era. So I get the numbers comparison with Ozzie Smith, but I think it does have to go beyond that. But I think on that level, too, telling the story of baseball, I think Omar has a very good case as well.
And again, his percentage is up. We can make one last point about that. He has 2877 career hits, 11 gold gloves. There's only 2 players in the history of baseball that exceed those numbers, Willie Mays and Roberto Clemente. There's a pretty strong case that isn't sabermetric driven for Omar Vizquel to be in Cooperstown. Let's shift gears a little bit. Now,
sure.
The Indians roster, a little bit of a mess. Starting pitching, great, deep. Infield, pretty good. Outfield, Bullpen is a challenge as well. And you see the guys that are there. Brad Hand, outstanding closer. My question is, how are you going to get to him? Cody Allen gone, Andrew Miller gone. So the Indians are going to have to look internal to potentially come away with a guy that can pitch that 8th inning. And one of the guys might very well be Cody Anderson, who is coming back from an injury where he's missed a couple of years.
The arm's feeling pretty good now. I was able to have kind of a normal off season, not throw year round this year, so just been easing back into it and got off a mound earlier this week and starting to feel pretty good.
How nice is it to finally, have the off season and feel normal and not be working back from that?
The biggest thing is just having like a normal routine, to get back to doing the things that you do to prepare for spring training and prepare for a, long season. Instead of, trying to push and get ready for spring training, you're pushing to get ready for a season. So it feels pretty good.
What did you learn going through what you went through? That's a rough thing. You had made it and things were going well, and then, all of a sudden it's a year and a half of rehab.
Yeah. The setbacks, you can, take it one of 2 ways. You can either, hang your head and, get frustrated, or, you try to learn something. So I just really learned how to take care of myself and, work on your health and your mental game and all that stuff, and hopefully it comes into play.
How excited are you to get back in a game situation and do those things, given all the time you had to put in to get to that point?
Yeah, you put in years and years of, you kill yourself trying to get there, and then you finally do, and then it's taken away for a little bit. So it just kind of makes you hungry, and I'm just looking forward to going out there and trying to compete, do whatever I can to make a team win.
All the pitches back, or is the velocity back, or are all the things, the metrics that you want to see, are they where you want them to be?
Yeah, so at the end of last year, pretty much everything was back to normal, and I was spinning the ball all right, and the ball's coming out fine. So I'm just excited to, see how it responds after a good off season.
Are you anxious to get out to Goodyear just to get that rolling so you can do baseball things again instead of rehab things?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually went down there 2 weeks ago. I got down there, and I'm going to be there all the way through spring training. So it's nice to get out there and, be around other baseball players. The Indians atmosphere is pretty good down there in Arizona.
And if Cody Anderson can get back to what he was that first year, you know, he was pretty even with Trevor Bauer as one of the guys they were counting on in the rotation. That would go a long way towards answering who's going to pitch the 8th inning, who's going to pitch the 7th inning. Those are the questions the Indians have to answer. Remember, none of the guys, Doug, that they had were good enough to do that. They relied on Cody Allen, Andrew Miller to get to the closer.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple things at play here. One is that a couple years ago, the Indians showed Major League Baseball how to win with the bullpen. I feel like they helped kickstart this era where the Astros now are winning with a loaded bullpen. The Yankees, you look at what the Yankees have done. They added this offseason to a loaded bullpen. The best teams are realizing that the bullpen is a way to win. The Indians helped lead the way on that. And then that bullpen got expensive, and now it's gone. So that's frustrating, I think, for Indians fans because you saw how good it was, how important it was. But the other part of this is this year the Indians' AAA rotation should stink. Anybody with an arm should be up here in this bullpen. And I think they need to be proactive in finding solutions and not just reactive. And I think they can identify some of these guys who maybe came up as starters, and they're going to say, we're not going to say if someone loses out on something else, then they go to the bullpen as a last resort. Let's identify an 8th inning pitcher out of maybe one of these starters and turn him into that. Find a solution now. They're in this window where they can still win. They either need to be proactive in turning some of these starters into relievers, or if not, make some trades with this surplus of starting pitching to go out and address the bullpen and other areas, because you stack up like their top 8 potential starters. There's a lot of good names in there. You don't need 8 starters. So fix the bullpen with those guys.
Doug Lesmerises, stick around. We're going to talk some Browns, Pro Bowl, and some Ohio State football. We're going to take a quick timeout. We'll be right back. Football straight ahead on More Sports and Les Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. More sports and Les Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition rolls along. I'm Dave Bacon. Well, it is the weekend where the Pro Bowl takes center stage, kind of, at least for the NFL players it does. They're in Orlando. Browns well represented in the NFL's All-Star Game. The one thing we hope about that is nobody gets hurt and everybody comes back healthy and ready to go next year. Let's bring in Doug Lesmerises again, columnist from cleveland.com. Doug, a report came out about the dysfunction out in Berea that was the Browns before Baker Mayfield, Freddie Kitchen, John Dorsey. I got to believe, you know, as a guy that covers the Browns, that dysfunction is a good thing, because if there wasn't that dysfunction and they were that bad, I think the franchise was in significantly more trouble than it's in right now.
Yeah, it's like, why have they stunk? Oh, yeah, they haven't been very good for a while. So, you know, there's been a lot of local reporting on that, too, that I think any Browns fans who read that story certainly wasn't surprised by it. It helped lay bare a little bit some of the specifics. But this is what we've known in the Jimmy Haslam era. And so the question as we stand now looking forward is, you know, there's really only 2 options. One is Jimmy Haslam keeps doing what he's doing, which is sort of interfering in decisions, overruling some things, having a quick trigger finger. And the first sign of anything going wrong with Freddie Kitchens and John Dorsey, you know, or he doesn't trust them and he helps them, you know, make mistakes, and we repeat the cycle, or he learned from it. Or finally you say, well, this hasn't been working. Let's try something different. So I do think, and I wrote about it from the news conference, that you can go back. It's a litany of Jimmy Haslam leading the news conference when they're hiring someone or firing someone. Jimmy Haslam was always the first guy up there saying, we made this decision as the Browns, and this time it wasn't him. So I took that as a sign. That reporting in that story from Seth Wickersham leads you to believe that John Dorsey has some more power in that building. And so at some point, everybody's got to learn a little bit, right? So I think we can be hopeful that the mistakes are maybe in the past, not everything solved, but maybe in the past, and maybe that John Dorsey and Freddie Kitchens are going to be allowed to do their jobs and not fight with each other and not have the owner interfere as much, and that will be progress from the past.
Let's put it in this context. Obviously, one of the things that makes a good owner is they're willing to spend money to improve the product. Isn't building an infrastructure and a culture that enables people to do their job the main part of being a good owner? In other words, let the football guys do the football things.
Yeah, but again, rich owners meddling is certainly not a new story in professional sports. So, and I wrote a column when they fired Hugh Jackson, like maybe it's time for Jimmy Haslam and the Haslams just to walk away for 2 years and just get out of the building and just cash the checks. And that's the one thing I'd like to point out here. Everybody always gives the owner for well, he writes the checks. Guess what? The owners do more than write checks. They cash checks even more. So they're making money while they're doing this stuff. You don't just have to say, well, they're paying for stuff. They have the right to do anything. They're okay. So they can cash their check and get out of the way. That was wishful thinking, right? He's not completely going to go away. But I do think, this structure is better. To your point, setting up that structure. Freddie Kitchens reporting to John Dorsey is a big deal. It's better structure. The previous structure basically guaranteed infighting. So I don't think we're going to have that here. And again, that is at least some little sign of Jimmy Haslam learning from the past, that now he doesn't have the coach and the GM here going to the owner to have a fight. We got John Dorsey on top, and that's better.
I don't remember a Browns GM that had been a GM at a successful organization or a GM period before, since their reincarnation in 1999 when they had Dwight Clark, who just was not a GM. I mean, do you remember that?
Joe Banner was pretty, but Joe Banner had success in Philadelphia when he got here. And again, he had the power here. I mean, Mike Holmgren was in charge here. That guy, I mean, he was a coach, I guess, in Green Bay. It wasn't the same thing. But Joe Banner had experience in structures and leadership and leading a successful team. But to your point, they've also had a bunch of guys, and again, the Seth Wickersham story pointed this out. Ray Farmer couldn't even believe that Ray Farmer got hired. So they've also hired a lot of guys who had never done it before, and I do think a part of the Browns' hope, and I do think there's a lot of hope with the fans around John Dorsey, around Baker Mayfield first, but around John Dorsey, and part of that is that the guy's been in the league and done it before.
Let's shift gears a little bit to Ohio State. Now, Greg Schiano, who was co-defensive coordinator for the Buckeyes, is going to be a defensive coach with the Patriots next season. Brian Flores, their defensive coordinator, rumored to be leaving after the Super Bowl for a head coaching job. So Ryan Day has remade this coaching staff. What are your takeaways from that, and a couple of local guys, and Yursich, the quarterback coach, and Al Washington, the linebacker coach, local guys from Northeast Ohio coming on board to the Buckeyes? What's your takeaway from what Ryan Day has assembled?
Well, he wiped out the defense and basically kept the offense, which made sense because last year the defense wasn't very good and the offense was really good. It also made sense. It was easier for Ryan Day because he was an offensive coach and he knew the offensive guys better, and he didn't know the defensive guys as well. So the only defensive guy who's back is Larry Johnson. He's as good of a defensive line coach as there is in the country. I think there's some more energy. There's guys, Greg Schiano and Bill Davis were guys who had NFL experience, and I felt like the defense last year was a little NFL heavy in terms of, I think, asking too much of some of these guys. It wasn't simple enough at times, I think, the way they related to the players. So Jeff Hafley is coming from the NFL. He does have a lot of college experience. Al Washington is a college guy through and through. Matt Barnes is new secondary coach, assistant secondary coach, is a college guy. I think that will help. I think they needed they needed a reset on the defense for sure. Now, the one thing is Greg Madison, the guy who has the co-coordinator title with Jeff Hafley, I don't know about that. He hasn't been a coordinator in a couple of years. He'd been a successful coordinator in the past, but Greg Schiano had been a successful coordinator in the past too. So I'm not 100% sold on the leadership of the defensive staff, but I think it will be better than last year. And then Mike Yurcich, the former Euclid quarterback, he's the new Ryan Day. Ryan Day is Urban Meyer. Mike Yurcich is Ryan Day. He's that passing game guy. I think he'll work well with Ryan Day. And Dwayne Haskins, let's remember, it was easy to look like a genius when Dwayne Haskins was throwing it for you. Dwayne Haskins won't be back. So, it's going to be harder, but I think the Yurcich, Ryan Day, Kevin Wilson combination leading that offense is pretty good.
So is that one of the areas you think he kind of, if you will, knocked it out of the park as far as getting Yurcich and with what you have there?
Yeah, I mean, he was really respected. When they hired Ryan Day after the 2015 season, Ryan Day was the coordinator in 16 and 17. I thought Yurcich would have been a candidate then. That guy, he helped lift the Oklahoma State offense to the next level when he got there. The past 3 years, Oklahoma State in overall offensive production was among the top 10 offenses in the country. And yes, they're in the Big 12, but they were doing a lot of good things, especially in the passing game. I think he's excited to get back to Ohio. I thought maybe they'd go with a young guy there because Ryan Day has such experience with quarterbacks. Instead, they went with one of the best quarterback coaches and offensive minds around. So I do think that offensive side of the ball, they should be able to keep going what they had the past couple years.
Doug Lesmerises, columnist for cleveland.com. We appreciate the time talking Indians, Browns, and Buckeyes. We will be checking in with Doug again next week. Appreciate the time, Doug. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, we are going to take a quick time out. When we return, we'll head down to Mobile. Mac Robinson is at the Senior Bowl practices, and he'll fill us in on who has opened some eyes. It's more sports and Les Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition.
Your basement is damp, dirty, and not somewhere you want to spend time. Let Naturestone Flooring transform your basement into a true extension of your home. Naturestone's proprietary hydrostatic ports allow water to simply evaporate, so no mold or mildew. Plus, it has a higher insulation rating than carpet and is warmer than linoleum, vinyl, wood, or tile.
Schedule your free in-home estimate easily online today and get up to 50% off.
Naturestone is the affordable basement floor solution that beautifies your home. Naturestone, the only concrete solution.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
Welcome back to More Sports and Les Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. I'm Dave Bacon. It's the week between the conference championship games and the Super Bowl. That means the Pro Bowl and the Senior Bowl take center stage, and we are going to head down to Mobile, Alabama to check in on Senior Bowl practices that have gone on all week. Pretty much more important than the games, and joining us is Mac Robinson from BrownsWire.com. Mac, we appreciate the time from down in Mobile. What has the week been like as far as the Browns go, and what have you heard about the Browns and the big contingent that is in Mobile for the Senior Bowl from the Cleveland Browns?
Well, for the Browns, you saw the news that came up of the possible extension talks with Brashard Perriman, Rashard Higgins, and Greg Robinson. When it comes to Brashard Perriman and Higgins, I expect that to kind of go through here and kind of go through quickly. But when it comes to the Greg Robinson talks, that's what's going to be more interesting in my opinion, because Robinson played well down the stretch, but he hasn't done this in his career yet. So it's something that I wonder if they're going to end up paying him what he thinks he's going to be worth, or compared to what the tackle market might be saying for him when he hits the market.
And again, remember, Greg Robinson, former #2 overall pick. Let's get on to some of the college guys. This is the first extended look that a scouting department and the Browns and everybody gets a look. Who have been some of the guys in your mind that have stood out at the practices that you have been to?
For me, I think, well, to give a little bit of context, I've been kind of focusing on the defensive line and the offensive line while I've been down here a little bit. Got a chance to see some of the wide receivers as well, but some of the big guys that stood out to me, Dalen Mack, defensive tackle from Texas A&M, 6'1", so a little bit lower center of gravity, but he's been doing really well, having a lot of punch for him. Also, Montez Sweat is somebody who I would keep an eye on for the first round for Browns fans, because the guy's a big-time edge rusher, looks the part. From the second that he walked across the stage in weigh-ins, he looked like he was ready to go. But he had a few times where he has a very strong stiff arm, and that allows him to kind of make a nice secondary move from there. But on top of that as well, just a few other names I was looking through. I know local guy John Kaminsky is somebody who has been kind of making a little bit of a name for himself down here as somebody who came up from D2. I talked to him a little bit during media day, and he wanted to make sure that he has a chip on his shoulder. He doesn't want to be that guy who's known as just that D2 prospect who's just trying to belong. He wants to make sure that he's known as one of those top guys that you have to keep an eye on here going forward. A couple other names, too. Deebo Samuel, wide receiver out of South Carolina, has stood out, as well as Anthony Johnson, wide receiver from Buffalo. Andre Dillard, the tackle from Washington State. He's a distinct possibility for the Browns as well, to take over as a left tackle prospect. Just some of the other guys, too, that I have notes on real quick. Terry McLaurin, wide receiver from Ohio State, has stood out big time here. He's looked really well. He's looked really good. He's impressed. And then Andy Isabella is another one who has really stood out as well.
And Isabella is an interesting kid. He's from Mayfield. 1AA UMass, was a finalist for the 1AA Player of the Year, a finalist for the Biletnikoff Award as the best wide receiver in all of college football. And it's now FBS Football Bowl Championship as opposed to 1AA. Smaller Division I schools. What have you heard about Isabella? There was a lot of buzz early in the Pro Bowl practice week about him. What has stood out about him?
Yeah, for Isabella, a lot of it is the quick footwork that he has. A little bit, he might get a little bit carried away with it in the short routes, trying to go ahead, break some ankles, as some people would say too. But for him, a lot of it is getting that down. His speed is top notch. He came in a little bit shorter than what people were expecting. Listed at 5'10", coming in, ended up at 5'8". But he looks the part. The only thing is that for him, it's kind of working on that footwork a little bit, but he definitely has the speed and he looks the part on the field. I will say that for sure.
Mac Robinson, we appreciate it, from BrownsWire.com, checking in from Mobile, Alabama, and that Senior Bowl game will be this weekend, Saturday. Mac, we appreciate it. I'm sure we'll check back in. And we're going to take a quick time out here on More Sports and Les Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. When we return, it's Winter Maction time. We'll check in on the Mid-American Conference. More Sports and Les Levine, Weekend Winners Edition. We'll be right back.
Concrete in your garage is uneven, cracked, pitted, and just plain ugly. Transform your garage into a welcoming entryway with NatureStone flooring. Reduce tracked-in dirt, eliminate puddling and salt damage. Plus, NatureStone corrects uneven concrete so you don't have to worry about tripping or slipping.
Call or go to naturestone.com to schedule your free in-home estimate today and get up to 50% off.
NatureStone is the affordable garage floor solution that beautifies your home. NatureStone, the only concrete solution.
Did you know that Kentucky is home to nearly 1,000 species of wildlife?
The Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife has a team of scientists dedicated to the monitoring and study of animals that are not hunted, fished, or trapped.
We work every day to improve Kentucky's landscape so that these species can thrive.
And now there's a way for you to jump in and help.
When you become a member of Kentucky Wild, we'll work side by side and do our part to keep Kentucky wild.
Welcome back to More Sports and Les Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. I'm Dave Bacon with The Super Bowl a week away. College basketball takes center stage. Mid-American Conference basketball play about a third of the way through conference play. Heather Klatt has this week's MAC Tracks.
What's up, guys? I'm Heather, and here's your MAC track for the week. We're going to start off with cheerleading. Yes, cheerleading. Now, it's not a sport sponsored by the MAC, but we had several schools competing in the UCA Nationals this past weekend, and they had a pretty good showing. We're going to start off in cheer game day competition. Miami took 7th in the co-ed D1A, and Bowling Green finished 4th in the all-girl D1A. In small co-ed cheer D1, BG finished 2nd in the nation. At the World Cup Championships, the team produced a first-place performance to claim the 2019 Premier Small Co-ed Team Cheer title. For the first time ever, the Falcons had an all-girl partner stunt group compete at Nationals, and they earned a 2nd-place finish. The quad of Carly, Kylie, Allison, and Aubrey earned spots on the 2019 U.S. National All-Girl Team and will compete at the International Cheer Union World Cheerleading Championships in April. For the first time in 57 years, Bowling Green is off to a 6-0 start in MAC play. The Falcons are the only undefeated team in conference play. That's right, the only team without a loss through 6 MAC contests. NIU's Noah McCarty called game against number 14 Buffalo to hand the Bulls their 2nd loss of the season. This was the Huskies' first win over a ranked opponent since 1973. Last week, both Toledo's Nate Navigado and Kent State's Jalen Walker each became their school's career 3-point leader. Buffalo's women's team is currently on a 5-game win streak. The Bulls share the top of the MAC East with Ohio, who are both 5-1. Toledo and Central Michigan sit ahead of the MAC West at 4-2. CMU's Presley Hudson surpassed 2,000 career points, becoming the 2nd Chippewa to reach the milestone. By now, you've probably seen the tweets going around about LA Rams head coach Sean McVay and New England wide receiver Julian Edelman facing each other when they were in college. And they did. Twice, actually. McVay was a wide receiver for Miami from 2004 to 2007, while Edelman was Kent State's quarterback from 2006 to 2008. In 2006, the Golden Flashes pulled off a 16-14 victory in Oxford. Edelman passed for 1 touchdown and ran for another, while going 14 of 22 for 244 yards. Kent State kept Miami scoreless deep into the 3rd quarter and held on to break an 11-game losing streak. During that game, McVay completed Miami's first 2-point conversion of the season and first overall since a 2004 loss at Marshall. He finished the game with 4 receptions for 47 yards. The following year, the Redhawks left Kent with a W, 20-13. McVay completed 3 receptions for 37 yards with a longest of 23, while Edelman went 19 of 33 with 260 total yards and 2 interceptions. So you could say Super Bowl 53 is the rubber match. We also want to note former Akron wide receiver JoJo Natson is on LA's roster. Congratulations are also in order to the former MAC student athletes named to the 2019 NFL Pro Bowl. Antonio Brown, Eric Fisher, and Brent Kern were selected to the AFC roster, and Brandon Brooks and Khalil Mack were named to the NFC's team. For anything else you might have missed, be sure to visit our website, getsomeaction.com. We'll see you next time.
That'll do it for this week on the More Sports and Les Levine Weekend Winners Edition. Stay tuned, is coming up. Bill Castrovince joins me for the High School Sports Insider. Have a great week, everyone.
Keep it simple.
Leaders lead. Leaders lead.
Let's go! Stop whining!
Again, go again, yes! You gotta rotate, go!
The High School Sports Insider is brought to you by Cuyahoga Community College, where futures begin. By the Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. By Spectrum News 1, always Ohio, always refreshing, always on, exclusively on Spectrum. By Dominion East Ohio, Dominion, it all starts here. And by Classic Teleproductions. February's closing in. That means the beginning of the winter sports tournaments are right around the corner. We're always in tournament mode, ready to bring you the best high school sports stories from all across Ohio. Thanks for joining this edition of the High School Sports Insider. Along with Bill Castrovince, I'm Dave Bacon.
On today's show, we'll meet the new head coach at a premier program. Plus, we've got a swimming star who's going to be a Cardinal, a brush arc who's headed to Dayton, and a gymnast who has the grades to go anywhere.
We begin tonight on the hardwood with one of the state's most talented small school basketball teams, the Richmond Heights Spartans. Richmond Heights was knocked out in the sectional finals a year ago. The core of that team is back and better than ever. Richmond Heights has 5 losses in the early season, all to highly ranked Division I and Division II teams. Richmond Heights seems to be putting everything together at the right time of the year, getting ready for the state basketball tournament. The Richmond Heights Spartans, our team of the week. They won't show up in the Division IV state basketball rankings, but make no mistake, Richmond Heights is good enough to make a deep tournament run and maybe even win the Division IV state basketball title. The Spartans had 5 early season losses. 2 were to Division I top 10 teams, the 3 others to perennial big school basketball powers.
We have a standard that we want to meet each quarter. So right now we work quarter by quarter. We don't look past any teams, any games, any situations. We want to worry about doing our job each quarter.
Rogers is in his 2nd year as head coach at Richmond Heights. His team is athletic, long, and aggressive. Teams better be ready to run against these Spartans. The biggest change for the players?
Working harder. Been working a lot harder every day since we had these coaches. Every day in the gym during the summer, every day.
It's a dream because everybody as a kid wants to be able to dunk and things like that. And our game plan fits that perfectly. Like, we're a team we like to run. We're all athletic. So, yeah, it's really fun. Truthfully, we're a defensive team, so that was our main focus. I mean, it may seem like offense. Yeah, sometimes we get rolling a lot, but defense is mainly what we worry about.
This team has a saying, as long as the ball is moving, there are no bad shots on the court. It gives the players a freedom that they respond to.
Just play together and just buy in. That's it. And just do your job. That's all we ask of them. They're very coachable, and that's really the key to all of this. I just want them not to get comfortable and not relax. I want us to keep finding different ways and different things to improve every day.
This team goes 10 or 11 deep and have a number of guys that are tough matchups. The brutal early season schedule has prepared Richmond Heights for this time of year.
It's a big advantage. If 2 people's not hitting, we have 5, 6 more guys that can come off the bench and score. So we really never really have a bad game like that.
We have a lot of confidence. Like, the things we believe we can do, like, for other people it may be crazy, but we know we can do it. We will.
As always, the road to a state title in wrestling goes through Lakewood. St. Ed's is always the team to beat. But after 28 years, Greg Urbis is no longer the head coach. His longtime assistant, John Heffernan, has taken over, but little has changed. Heffernan has been running the daily practices since 1992. A former state champ with the Eagles and a 2-time All-American at Iowa, let's meet John Heffernan in this week's All Access.
Don't stay on 2 knees. Don't keep your hands locked. Let's go. Finish here. Don't stay on 2 knees. Don't keep your hands locked.
I don't think about replacing a legend. I think about the kids and try to do what's best for the kids. I just want to give them every opportunity I had when I wrestled here. Either the wrestler or the coach I've been involved with in 29 of the 35 state championship teams. My brother Brian was the first state champ in 1978 at the school. My brother Jim was a 2-time state champ here now.
5 times each, 5 times each. You're bound down 5 times. Bottom guy, you're going hard. Top guy making it work on your own, 5 times each. Go, let's go.
They're not going to be a whole lot different as far as day-to-day wrestling. That's going to remain the same. You know, if anything else, I rely on my assistant coaches more. You know, Coach Urbis is still doing many of the things he did before. We just kind of changed titles a little bit. He's still going to be around.
It's unbelievable what he has done in his life on the wrestling mats. He's very, very humble, won't tell you about it. You have to hear it from other people that he wrestled with or from his coaches, whatever. So he's humble, but he knows his stuff inside and out. He's wrestled on the world level as well. He's wrestled on U.S. teams that have gone overseas.
Don't give him a chance to go through the legs. Don't give him a chance to hook the ankle. All right, just run right back at him a couple times each. 1, 2, 3, go. Let's go.
I've been around a lot between Coach Furbis, Coach Ferguson. I wrestled with Coach Gable in college. So I've been around a lot of good coaches and a lot of good leaders, and just kind of pick something from each one of them.
So if he comes through, listen, right here. If he rolls, if one leg's going to go, bring one leg. Both legs got to go.
I try not to make everybody wrestle the same, do the same thing. Each kid has strengths, each kid has weaknesses. You kind of try to push the kids toward their strengths. Our varsity team this year, you know, pretty proud of the fact that most of these kids were developed in the room. And they've been coming here since they're 3rd or 4th graders.
I've known Coach HOF ever since I was little. I've never wrestled in a different room other than the Santa Ana wrestling room. I went up through the youth program, so having him as a head coach, I kind of always thought of him as a head coach.
I think no matter what, whether Urbis is the head coach or Coach HOF is the head coach, they're going to do a great job. And Coach HOF's been doing an awesome job this season. He's going to peak us for the right time, and we'll be ready in March.
Heffernan was named the National Assistant Coach of the Year just last season. He and the Eagles are looking for their 33rd state championship in March.
We're just getting things rolling on this week's show. When we return, we'll check in with one of the queen bees of gymnastics, and we'll hit the water with a future Cardinal. The High School Sports Insider will be right back.
I dare you. I dare you to change the world. Yeah, you. Getting that college education.
I dare you to be somebody important.
Like be a teacher. Or a reality TV star.
I dare you to stand up here.
To call the shots.
To be a role model.
An inspiration.
An innovator.
To be a teacher. Be my teacher.
Think you can change my life?
Make me excited about science like you.
Have a career that really means something?
Then do it.
I dare you. I dare you.
Thanks for hanging with us on this edition of the High School Sports Insider. Paige McCormick was one of those swimmers Hudson knew would be special when she entered the high school program. McCormick was winning regional and multi-state championships from the time she started swimming at age 8. She's continued to progress and develop. Now a junior in high school, Paige recently broke Hudson's pool record in the 400-meter freestyle and also agreed to continue her swimming career at one of the top college programs in a couple of years. Paige McCormick, our Cuyahoga Community College student athlete with a future. Cuyahoga Community College, where futures begin. She is currently ranked among the top swimmers in the country in the class of 2020. Hudson's Paige McCormick is Ohio's second-ranked junior swimmer. Last year at the state meet, she performed well with several podium finishes. The intensity has never been a problem.
I need to go out there and have more fun. Freshman year, I put a lot of pressure on myself. I mean, it's like the expectation is the freshman that needs to get on the podium and could have a chance of winning. I just let it get in my head a lot, and I'm still learning, so I'm excited to see what happens this year.
McCormick is also one of the most versatile swimmers in the state. She excels in distance, sprint, and specialty strokes. As a sophomore, she finished 3rd in the state in the 500 free.
The 2 girls in front of me that finished last year are graduated. So I think just like knowing how close I am, like I can see like the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm just so eager to get to the state meet and get up and race.
She, continues to be driven by, getting to the next level, no matter if it's a USA swimming event that she wants to get to, whether it's nationals or junior nationals or Olympic trials or at the state meet. She wants to improve on the 3rd place finish. She wants to win, whatever she's swimming. She wants to help the girls be top 2 or have a chance to win. So for her, she's driven by the team.
I take a lot of pride in it. I'm such a team player, or I hope that's what it seems like. I'm a team player. Just kind of like, I'm glad that they can put me wherever it needs, so if someone else has a better swim, like they can go there and whatever scores the most points possible.
As a sophomore, Paige was a USA Swimming Scholastic All-American, meaning she had above a B+ grade point average in the classroom and national cut times. Paige recently committed to Louisville, a top 10 women's swimming program.
She might swim the 2 free or the 2 IM. We're trying to figure that out. Obviously, she's one of the best kids in the 500 free, which she'll swim. But, you know, her best events, I think, are not even a high school event. When she goes to college, she's going to be a 400 IMer. She's going to be a miler. She's going to be a 200 backstroker, which, you know, those are her best events that we don't even get to see at a high school level.
But for now, McCormick is focused on helping the team get ready for the state meet in a few weeks.
Obviously, who doesn't want to win states? It's pretty cool to say. So that's mainly one of my main goals, but also not individually as well, but as a relay, I think we have a really good shot in all 3 of our relays to be top 2 on the podium.
Earlier in the show, we saw the best wrestling program in Ohio, St. Ed's. Well, now it's time to check in on another dynasty. Brecksville has won 15 straight state championships in gymnastics. To get to number 16, Izzy Abakire will be leading the charge. As a senior, Abakire's been a leader on and off the mat, even though it's been painful. With grades that are off the charts, we celebrate Izzy Abakire, this week's Ohio Lottery Partners in Education Shining Star. You won't find a tougher kid than Izzy Abakire. The Brecksville senior has been competing in pain for years, but she will not quit.
For me, because I expect so much from myself, so it's been hard to accept that all the skills I could do before I got injured, I may not be able to do today.
Abakire injured her shoulder in the spring of 17. She even had surgery, but it still hurts to this day.
She's had surgery and it's just not getting better. Yeah, I mean, she's trying, she's doing therapy, she ices it, she does everything she can. Some things just don't heal real good.
And yet, Izzy came through in last year's state gymnastics meet. She helped the Bees win their 15th straight state title by competing in 3 events. The very next day, in the individual competition, Abakire finished 5th on floor. And through it all, she smiled.
I still need to remember that I should just be grateful to even be able to do gymnastics, because some people don't have the opportunity after they get hurt.
Izzy is there for practice every day, and afterwards, she hits the books. Abakire's 4.5 GPA is off the charts, even though she's taking 4 AP classes.
I expect a lot from myself, so I think that's why I succeed so well in school.
Abakire applied to 8 schools and got into all of them, but she hasn't picked one out yet. Given her history, Izzy wants to go into physical therapy. But she is done with gymnastics after the state meet. If Brecksville wins it again, it will be because of the senior leadership of Izzy Abakire.
She's a great motivator to the kids. Even when she wasn't around, she would be sending them notes and just come on, positive attitudes, and it's been great.
It's just such a great opportunity as a senior to be captain and being able to lead the team, because it's really fun and it's just awesome to be a role model for the younger gymnasts.
If you know a student who shines in the classroom like Izzy, go to OhioLottery.com. Look for the About section. In there, you'll find the Supporting Education tab, which has all the information you need.
If you missed some of today's show or want to see past episodes, they're online and free. What a deal, I know. Head to citybeat-tv.com. That's citybeat-tv.com.
We have to take a quick time out, but when we come back, we have an athlete who's shining bright for the Arcs. And our Insider Classic has become the Big Ten's biggest star behind the arc. Stay tuned.
I decided to go to Tri-C because it was easy to commute to. I was able to start Kent State as a junior. All my credits from Tri-C transferred to Kent State. I will be able to earn my bachelor's degree in 4 years. I saved a lot of money starting at Tri-C. My name is Stephanie Bain, and I earned my first degree at Cuyahoga Community College.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program has been recognizing role model students and teachers since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Supporting Education. There, you can nominate students in kindergarten through 12th grade as academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible for the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. The High School Sports Insider rolls along. Thanks for riding shotgun with us. The Brush High Arcs are one of the boys' basketball teams to keep an eye on as the state tournament rolls along. The Arcs have a big three on the court led by Andre Harris. Harris committed to a Division I basketball program before his senior season, and he's been opening eyes ever since. His game just continues to develop and evolve. Andre Harris, our Spectrum News 1 Game Breaker. In the open court, Brush High School's Andre Harris has been special. His speed and quickness open up the floor and allow his game to shine.
Transition, I've been scoring really well in transition, and not including tonight, I've been doing really good with free throws. So my goal this year is to improve on my half-court scoring. I hear that a lot, that I mainly score in transition, so I got to start working on scoring in half-court and knocking down my jumpers. So I've been working on shots a lot and working on my half-court game.
The improvement in his game has been noticeable. Harris had a number of Division I scholarship offers to choose from. Teams saw his ability to score and his willingness to play defense.
I got to play defense next year, so I'm preparing myself, even when I'm guarding someone bigger, because next year I'm going to have to guard dudes that's like 24, 25, so I'm just preparing myself to guard bigger guards and be able to handle all matchups.
He's become a gym rat as of late, and what that's done is it's given him more confidence and take more chances in the game. And as you see, and even in the weight room over the summer, that was a tremendous growth to his game because he's able to take contact. He's able to now jump higher and really throw down some vicious dunks. So that's what he's worked on. He's shooting the ball better. He has better pace to his game. So he's grown each day, and he knows what he's got to work on, and he's a mature young man, and he'll figure it out.
The work ethic was evident. Harris continued to push himself to get better and better, even after he committed to play at Wright State in college. Loyalty was a factor in Harris's college decision.
The coaches, they've been treating me like family since I met them, and sometimes when coaches, if you have a bad game on the circuit, they'll stop calling you and texting you. They never stop talking to me, even when I played bad. So I really appreciated that, and that was where I decided to go.
In the immediate future, Harris is focused on his senior season, where he's part of the Arcs' three-headed monster they think can help them make a deep tournament run.
It makes the game a lot easier, knowing that you got two other guys that really nobody in the state could guard. So it just opens your shots up even more and helps your game.
It is time to go back in time for this week's Insider Classic. It has been an easy transition from the Federal League to the Big Ten for Taylor Mikesell. She stepped right into the starting lineup at Maryland as a freshman, and she was recently named the Player of the Week in the Big Ten. Mikesell is averaging 15 points a game, which is 10th in the conference, and she's leading the league in three-pointers. We first met her when she was a junior at Massillon Jackson. Let's go back to 2017 as Taylor Mikesell becomes an Insider Classic. Taylor Mikesell is proud to play for the Jackson Polar Bears, but last summer she wore red, white, and blue. Mikesell was a member of Team USA for the FIBA Under-17 World Championships.
Making that team was incredible. I mean, going to Spain and France was absolutely amazing. I mean, something I really didn't think was possible until it happened.
Taylor led Team USA to a win in the bronze medal game, sinking 5 3-pointers for a team-high 15. Winning a medal was cool, but the experience was even better.
Well, it meant a lot. I mean, playing against the best people in the country, I haven't really seen a lot of people like that. So seeing that as kind of like a confidence booster, if I can do that against them, if I can guard them, what can I do here?
And Mikesell has been sinking 3-pointers ever since. Last year, Taylor was named first team All-Ohio as a sophomore.
Since her freshman year, I mean, she just stepped on the court and girls listen and follow. She's the first girl in school history to be a unanimous captain, selected by her teammates as a sophomore.
Now a junior, Mikesell has already scored over 1,000 points in her career while breaking several school records for free throws, steals, and threes. ESPN has ranked her as a #1 junior in the state of Ohio, but she's #1 in humility too.
I don't know, I don't really let it get to me. It's just, it's a number by your name, but at the end of the day, you still gotta play, so it's all right. Doesn't really mean a ton.
She got her first recruiting letter in the 8th grade, and she gave a verbal commitment to Maryland before her sophomore season. Plus, she's an AP student with a 3.9 GPA. Otherwise, Taylor Mikesell has not changed a thing.
I'm in here early, stay after. I got a huge court in my house. My brother helps me all the time and do ball handling in my house all the time. Just tons of extra stuff.
I mean, she shows up an hour and a half before practice, stays an hour after practice. She gets up at 5 a.m. and does ball handling. I mean, there's no accident for her success.
We want you to get more involved in the show, and you can through social media. Follow us on Twitter. We're at HS Sports Insider and at Dave Bacon Sports. Tweet us your story ideas, pictures, or videos showing your school spirit. We'll use them in a future show. We're still plugging away on Facebook as well. Head to our page and like us. We're at High School Sports Insider.
Of course, the tweets of the week are coming up next.
We cannot be bystanders.
We can stop to make sure someone is okay.
We can warn someone when their drink isn't safe.
And disrupt the situation.
We can
get someone the cab.
Or walk them home safely.
We can make campuses safer for our friends.
Our roommates.
Our classmates. Our fellow human beings.
We cannot be bystanders.
We can. Intervene.
It's on us.
All of us.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
Welcome back inside the High School Sports Insider. We've come to that time of the show where we're going to ask for your help. We're always on the lookout for crazy plays, outstanding performances, or high school kids having fun. That's where you come in. When you see that, let us know. There are a few rules. You have to use 280 characters or less. Pictures or video are even better. It's time for the tweets of the week. Jake McQuaid from Elder High School in Cincinnati is the Los Angeles Rams long snapper. He will become the first Elder grad to play in the Super Bowl when the Rams take on the Patriots. Congrats to Gilmore alum Naz Hillman. The Michigan Star was named Big Ten Freshman of the Week. Naz had 20 points and 8 rebounds against Ohio State. And Mentor alum quarterback Mitchell Trubisky was named to the NFC's team in the Pro Bowl. Trubisky will be playing with the NFL's best in Orlando. Keep those tweets coming. We want your story ideas or your pictures or videos showing your school spirit. Tweet those to us. We're at HS Sports Insider or at Dave Bacon Sports. Use hashtag HSSI Ohio. Again, that's at HS Sports Insider or at Dave Bacon Sports. Use hashtag HSSI Ohio. We'll use a few of them on upcoming shows as the tweets of the week. Now we are all out of time on this week's show. We want to thank you for making the time to join us. We hope to see you back here next week, same time, same place, when again we'll have some of the best high school sports stories from all across Ohio.
And as always, thank you for supporting high school athletics. Have a great night.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program has been recognizing role model students and teachers since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Supporting Education. There, you can nominate students in kindergarten through 12th grade as academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible for the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
I've got a 4-year degree. I wasn't really able to find a job despite putting out over 100 applications, so I decided to go back to school. You know, Tri-C really did change my life. After getting my degree from Tri-C, I'm working in the IT field. I work at a job I love. Life is good, thanks to Tri-C. My name is Josh Gatka, and I received my IT degree from Tri-C.